And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Record of Sword Forged Worlds, the unofficial Sword World podcast. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have two of my good brothers here in the temple. We have the man who is but a letter, good brother A.
Hello, everybody.
And the master of the Fistiverse, good brother Joel.
If you got a face, I'll fist it. Yeah.
Fine.
So last time around, we delved into the first rules expansion for Sword World. This time around, we're going to be delving into the first set of setting expansions. And I have to say set because of how we're going to be covering this. So first off, I do have to make a correction. I had said that Alchemist Works came out the same month as the core rulebooks. That didn't happen. It didn't come out until a year later, which, for what they put into it, is still impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But in the interim, the books that we're going to be covering today did come out. As well as some other replays and stuff, but that's not important. At least not for this one. But just so I have my ducks in a row, let me grab the release timeline. Give me a second. Okay, so let me correct the record. Core Rulebook 1 came out in April 2008. Core Rulebook 2 came out in 2 months later, and Core Rulebook 3 came out 2 months later after that. Alchemist Works didn't come out until August 2009, so about a year after Core Rulebook 3. Oh. And 2009 is where they really start doing the expansions. Oh. We are kind of... I know I've tried my best to have these as close to the release timeline as possible, but we are going to be breaking that a little bit. So we're going to be covering 3 books in particular because they all take place in around the same region. Tour Luferia came out in December 2009. And Tour Leos came out in December the next year. The tour books were meant to be explorations of individual city-states. These were the only books that particular approach was done. After that, the natural history approach was used. And the first one of that was Natural History of Feidan, which came out January 2012. By the time that came out, there were two rules expansions that had already come out. Barbarous Tales, which we will get to later, that came out in August 2010, and Wizard's Tome, which came out in August 2011. Now,
yeah, going through, I'm kind of sight reading Tour Leos, and it mentions Barbarous Tales a lot, so they do actually use those supplements, it looks like, pretty frequently.
Yeah, and incidentally, in the time between 2008 and 2011, there was a whole arc of replays called The Heroes of the New Goddess. Which those ones haven't been translated yet. I'm hoping we'll see them eventually, but I know it's going to take a while because there are 11 books in that series. That was a campaign that was GM'd by one of these staffers, Akita Miyabi. In fact, each staffer has had their own kind of roster of replays based on their campaigns. Kei Kitazawa has had several, though not as many because he's the guy overseeing the whole thing. Some GMs only had like a few stories or a couple books to their name. I'd say the one who seems to have had the most is Beth Yuli Kurosaki. But there were a lot of others. There's a lot of replays, and we've only really gotten a handful of them translated. And sometimes you had ones that had... There's one that had a rotating GM, which was the Chilling Triple Crown, which had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different GMs for that run.
Wow.
I kind of wish the idea of replays were something that popped up in the West. A bit than just, we're gonna post record ourselves playing the game and post it on YouTube or live stream it.
Yeah. And as far as the other thing that came out in that interim was two campaign books that we will be covering, and 2 that actually there are 3 that we'll be covering in the series, and a couple that we won't because they have not been translated. The ones that haven't been translated were Wind Clouds, A City of Singing Voices, and Scenario Selections Challenge Magic Sword Labyrinths. Though, in all fairness, these are less campaigns and more, from what I understand, and more a collection of singular adventures. Just keep in mind, Sword World is a very scenario-based game. But Mist Castle and Fairy Garden, which we will be covering in this series, came out in 2009 and 2010, respectively. But it is amusing that they were able to have a decent variety of material supported for players and GMs in just a few years, but not feeling overwrought with it. Because, and I suppose it certainly helps that none of the books that we're covering have an extremely high page count. The tour books are less than 150 each. I'd say of the three we're going to be covering today, the biggest one is Natural History of Feidan. And I think it kind of has to be. Yeah.
This is
Oh.
I kind of like them. Well, I like Vegas. Yeah, I don't like the ones.
I had
Joe? All right, I'll.
Oh. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he just muted himself.
But with that said, obviously with the three books, we won't be covering them directly in order. We're going to focus first on Tour Leos. Now, all three of these books take place in the Feidan region, which is the southernmost region on Terrastier. We have covered a bit of it, and they do make clear that it's advisable to have some of the previous books we have talked about, and one that we will. But Tour Leos is divided into 5 sections. The Leos Guide, a collection of 100 NPCs in Leos, 2 scenarios, and a travelogue of Raxia.
100 NPCs?
Yes. So when it comes to the history of Leos, you can, and with a lot of places, you can divide it into several sections. That region in the Magic Civilization period, in the Magitech Civilization period, sometimes the Divine Civilization period if you're lucky, the Diabolic Triumph, and post-Diabolic Triumph. So during the Magic Civilization period, this particular city-state, Leos, or not say, which is a very commerce-based place. It does not have a king and is governed by essentially a constitutional republic. Its capital is Rabaste, which supposedly all roads lead to. At least all roads in Feidan lead to. Leos is also known as the Land of Assemblance. And there are a few ruins in the place where, of course, you're going to have adventurers show up. And there's no shortage of opportunities for adventurers' work. But it is believed that there was a country of Leos in the Magic Civilization period, but there's no record of it. Aside from a small country, though, you of course have one of the Wizard King doing Wizard King shit involving a sword called the Perdition Serpent.
I mean, it's like if you had a Wizard King, and the Wizard King wasn't doing something that in hindsight would be a bad idea, that wouldn't really be a very good Wizard King.
Yeah. But during the Magic Civilization period, Leos doesn't have that much impact. Aside from being a small country of not much note. In the Magic Tech Civilization period, that's another story. Which, given that this is a very merchant-based region, that certainly makes sense, because the big thing about Magitech is the fact that anyone can use it. Which, of course, led to a lot of the industrial revolutions we see with the Magitech Civilization period. It's around this time that Leo starts to expand and become a republic. Its government is run by elected representatives and was considered an example of Almanis's ideology. This didn't last because it got invaded by the North, the IR Empire that was established in Corallo, which controlled most of Feidan. And it's referred to as nowadays it's called the Great IR to distinguish itself from the current IR, which is a lot smaller. That's totally not confusing. Not like naming multiple ships the same name in certain navies. Hi, Russia. How you doing?
I mean, like why come up with a new name?
But the unfortunate problem was the very debate-focused government that Leos had was not able to respond quick enough to IR's aggression. There's also the fact that because of the way it worked, even though Leos had a standing army, think of it less of a standing army and more of a collection of militias without a unified chain of command. And because of that, they had improper logistics versus the Imperial Army with IR, who did not have that problem and had proper logistics and properly equipped Magitech and a unified chain of command with equipment and all of that. But the bigger Magitech they didn't have to bear. So of course Leos falls under the rule of the Empire. But during its conquering, you do see a massive shift towards improving the transportation systems around Leos. And a much bigger emphasis on pursuing businesses. So it basically became a merchant city for the IR Empire. Though, as you might expect, an annexed city state that is able to generate a lot of money ends up getting a lot of tax burdens.
I mean, you don't want your subjects to remember the good old days.
Which even with that, one might think, oh, the IR seem like they have things well in hand, and for a while they did, and then the Diabolic Triumph happens. What certainly didn't help matters is there is the Imperial army of IR had declined after they finished their territory expansion. Mostly because they didn't have a real peer power to fight against. So skills of soldiers went down, discipline got a bit lax. And some generals acted like military emperors. But civilian emperors were given reins of government during peacetime. And you also started to see more artist emperors, as they're referred to. So of course, with the barbarous showing up and wrecking everyone's shit, and all of the natural disasters happening during the Diabolic Triumph, they were completely unprepared. The Emperor's attempt at a solution was the Dragon Castle strategy of taking all the Imperial forces that were left and bringing them back to the capital to defend that. And the provinces outside of it were left to fend for their own. Leos was no exception and got pillaged hard. And the city of Leos was burnt to the ground. And while the Barbarous did eventually retreat, especially after the death of the Beast King, the damage had been done. Large territories of the Feidan region were devastated. You've got huge amount of areas that were completely empty with no humanoid cities or barbarous settlements. You do start to see a slow rebuilding. And eventually Leos starts to reestablish itself. What certainly helped was its first new chairman, Rabaste Melef, who was a member of the merchant family of Melef, which was old money in old Leos, and was a member of the Imperial House. He not only worked to restore Leos, but also went to IR to try and get some of the refugees of Leos to come back. Which is how the population, which has been less than 50, when it was vowed that Leos would rebuild, got to 1,000 in just a few years.
That's a respectable amount of number.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to meet 10% of them, so that's fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And within 10 years, they started putting trading ships into service. Granted, it wasn't a big trading ship, but going from 50 people and a ruin to 1,000 people and one trading ship is that's very fast.
I mean, like, for a trading city like this, like most people would still have contacts outside the city proper.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most of that money would probably go to help rebuild the city. So it kind of makes sense that they would go and focus more on trying to like rebuild the mercantile.
Yeah. There was also a big push to make sure that agriculture was properly supported. So for the longest time, you did have that line of the bigger merchants inside the city and the more agricultural side of things outside of it. What certainly didn't hurt matters as far as the whole IR thing and whether or not they were still annexed was, well, it's very well. We'll get to IR eventually, but it's very clear IR is somewhat inspired by Rome, and you know what happens with what Roman emperors are really, really, really good at.
Getting assassinated by their bodyguards.
Yes. In this case, the emperor was forced to abdicate and was later murdered by some of his own citizens. Probably because of the whole, oh, we're just gonna throw every other protectorate that is under the empire that isn't close to the imperial city under the damn bus.
Yeah.
Considering how the IR Empire held a large amount of central Terrastiae, abandoning that much territory that quickly is certainly going to result in some feelings. And things wouldn't get better for several decades when it came to AR, where instead of having a traditional emperor, they had an emperor elect, I suppose you could say. And I'm immediately hearing "summon the Elector Counts" in the back of my mind. But that is more or less what we would eventually get. Leos was able to take advantage of that unrest to regain a lot of its surrounding area by force of economy. Opening up trade routes, getting the money streaming again, sending goods to various regions, especially when we're still only a few years removed from the Diabolic Triumph. So everybody needs pretty much everything because they've all just survived the apocalypse. And with that economic momentum, they made a formal declaration of independence. And in the process declaring themselves a sovereign state run by its own parliament. And the capital of this new Leos was named after its founding father, Rabaste. Of course, after that declaration, they would expand even further. Mostly because the merchants got greedy, but also because, well, they've been on their own for years now, but now they're even more on their own.
Yeah.
They did one massive advantage they had was the infrastructure for managing sea traffic was still somewhat present, and they were able to get it back. So they were able to send sea vessels eastward and westward for new partners. East side didn't work out that well because that had become barbarous territory. West side worked much better. It was through that they were able to connect with the academic nation of Kaingara, known as the College of Stone Towers. And in the process of doing that, they had a lot... The Kaingara had a lot of Magitech and magic civilization goods. Which, of course, bringing that back to Leos improves the lives of both. One side gets goods, the other side gets tech, everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
And it was instead of trying to go eastward and westward, it was decided to just keep going westward to expand and make more deals. This led to them rediscovering the Sinaqueras region. which had several humanoid governments, and allowed for a new route of grain and fishery, because Sinarquas was very, very rich in that. But because of the damage that the Triumph did to a lot of the nations that they worked with, they were very eager to work with Leos, who had infrastructure at this point. But unfortunately, the stuff they were getting from Sinaquea was too much, so they had to re-export it.
That's that's an interesting thing, where it's
Mhm.
like, oh hey, like we imported too much of this, therefore we now have to export it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. But and while IR wasn't wiped out, for the longest time, any sort of deal between Leos and IR was not in the cards because IR was dealing with its own problems. And while there was the temptation to reconquer Leos, there were bigger problems, namely Barbarous.
Yeah.
And while IR did start to recover and start to reclaim some territory, eventually the two of them were able to meet in neutral territory with the Senequia base states because neutral party. And remember, at this point in time, Leos has all this food that is too much for them to use, and IR's expansion was running the risk of spreading too thin. And in fact, did. There were several famine outbreaks in its territories. And the expanded territories were no good for farming. So Leos comes in and says, hey, I'll make you a deal. And in the process of that, the Corallo River was reconstructed for water transportation. And cargo ships full of food would be able to come and go. And and in the process of this, successive emperors of IR have had a non-aggression policy for their relationship with Leos. So it's basically a case of could they reinvade Leos and annex it? Probably. Would it be a good idea to do so when they're making so much money for everybody else? Probably not.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where even though they may not have officially written defensive pacts, they'll have, like, they definitely have the unofficial defense pack set up.
Yeah. But that kind of state of things between Leos and IR has more or less been the standard for about a century by the time we're at the current era. Which again, they went from having just a few dozen people to reestablishing the entire nation in a century. And even with that, a lot of people in Leo still don't have the highest opinions of IR. Because even though they are close and have their business relationship, they are still the attitude is we are not annexed from you. We are independent from you. So don't even think of that line of reasoning. And when it comes to the relationship that they have with the other nations they do business with, it varies from mixed to positive. Sinaquea Bay is a tricky beast because it's not really a nation or rather, I'll say it is a nation in the way the Free Worlds League is a nation.
Yeah.
Remember, glory to Merrick. But it's a case of things are stable, but things could boil over if the worst case scenario happens. But when it comes to the land itself, it is centered around the capital city of Rabaste. Rabaste is also known as the City of the Ten-Legged Spider. It has a population of about 50,000. According to the official register, the actual population might be larger because of the amount of unregistered people. The second largest city is Lirio, the city of mountains and rivers. This was originally a trade hub along the Corallo River that just expanded. You know how it is. A trading post ends up becoming a whole ass city.
I mean, that's what happened to Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Worth, St. Louis, and a couple other ones.
I'm not even going to list any ones that happen in the Midwest because that'd be like half of them.
Definitely more than half.
Mm-hmm. But it is amusing that the western district of Lirio is mostly elves. The eastern district is mostly dwarves. Both are crucial to the industries in Lirio's development. And, unsurprisingly, they are at odds with each other. There are two factions, the River faction and the Mountain faction.
Let me guess. The elves are the Mountain faction, right?
I'll ignore that. They have a arm's length relationship. But Lirio is governed by a 15-person council. With a council chairman and 2 vice chairmen. The 2 vice chairmen are representatives of the river and mountain factions, of course, because of course. The rest are divided between river, mountain, and moderate. In reality, the river and mountain factions have significantly more power. And while the moderate faction has some, it's weak compared to the big 2. The reason the river faction is named that is because their part of the city is on the Corallo River. And aside from that, it is like a lot of places, business is booming. It's just a matter of which business is more booming than the other, depends on who you ask. But for whatever reason, I feel like in a few years you might have some Gangs of New York shit happening there.
Oh yeah.
But there's also Ander Leaves, which is a village that is primarily focused on growing and supplying medicinal herbs. And there's some that that on the continent only grow on Ander Leaves. Supposedly there's ways to make secret medicines, but nobody's talking.
So, it's kind of like Fight Club. You don't talk about the secret medicine.
Mm-hmm. Now they'll sell the medicine to you, but as far as making it, they're not sharing that. But there is also the smoking village of Noi, called that because the white smoke from everywhere obscures the village. The smoke is steam. They have 3 hot springs. And all the well water is hot water. And there are a lot more natural hot springs aside from those big 3 that they utilize. In some places, you can't walk barefoot.
Kind of reminds me of... There's like a village in New Zealand that they have a lot of springs, and people would just cook their food off of exposed stone because the ground's just that hot.
Mm-hmm. So there is water from a nearby river, but it's mainly used for agriculture. And of course, it also fills hot springs that are too hot for bathing. Which probably makes them the ideal kind of hot spring for someone like Aisha Clan. How could I not bring up the weird ass hot spring episode?
I mean, I was trying my best not to point out that this is the hot spring episode, The Village.
Just not as obnoxious of a tourist trap. It has gotten prominence as a hot spring resort, mostly because, well...
What else?
Leos is loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And... Also... there seems to be more and more businesses focusing on therapeutic baths and less agriculture. And they're going to be building a landing tower for airships. But there's no smell of sulfur and there's no volcanoes nearby. So it's believed that the reason why there's so many hot springs in the area is more artificial. But obviously the Corallo River is the most important river in the area. Like a civilization building around a river. How surprising. But there's also the large forest of Ephnia. In the shallow areas, you do have some dangers to loggers, which is why adventurers are brought in. It also has rare medicinal herbs and prey animals. But further east, there's also the Forest of Blood and Gold. It is home to an illegal guild called the Black Code and the drugs that they make. And there are countless traps set in it.
Sounds like a great place to play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm. The government of Leos has tried to send agents to scout out the forest. Most of them don't come back. At one point, the government and a merchant family organized an army of over 100 to go into the forest. This also failed. The army was split up in the forest, lost, and taken out. Nobody came back. Hence the name of the Forest of Blood and Gold. But Mount Isan and its mountain range over to the west is often called the... Actually, not in the west, and just a little bit eastward of... Rabaste? is the Mountains of Lost Springs, or the seat of departed gods. It's said that this was once a place ruled by 5 minor gods during the Divine Era, and maintained an everlasting spring. There's also belief that it's called that because of issues with the Wizard King that once ruled this area. Some have tried to go into the mountain to see if there's any truth to the legends, but nobody's come back. Of course, you also have
that
things
like that entire region just sounds like a place that you should try your best to not visit. Anytime anybody goes over there, between like the mountain or the forest of blood and gold, just nobody comes back.
Mm-hmm. Now one of the big problems that Rabaste has, especially with the Corallo River, is the state of the water. The river itself and the well water is too salty. But then 30 years ago, the Igor family built an aqueduct. And because nobody believes in subtlety, it is named Igor's Aqueduct.
I mean, if you go, you spend the time and the money to build an aqueduct for the entire city, wouldn't you want to name it after yourself?
Yeah. But it helped the problem a little bit, but not enough. Rabaste still has issues of high water prices and water shortages. And there have been talks about trying to expand to doing more aqueducts, which the Igor family is opposed to.
Of course.
But one of the more famous sites is Ruega Pequido, also known as the Dead City. This was an underground city built during the Magic Civilization period, and eventually expanded above ground for the study of artifacts, and it collapsed during the Diabolic Triumph, with the underground city being buried as well. There are still entrances to the city above ground, and it's still possible to enter the ruins, but it's believed all the entrances are connected because of the nature of the ruins, but parts of it are separated by falling rocks, as one might expect when you're going to an underground city. But you also have the city under the river, also known as Venelsum, which is a town that's at the bottom of the Corallo River. The reason it's down there, Diabolic Triumph. A lot of stated things can be summed up as the Diabolic Triumph happened. And where this place and what happened with this city is that it and the land around it got submerged. And because of the expansion of the river, where the city was is now a lake. Now, the city is still there, but a lot of boats try to avoid going over where it is because they don't want to get caught in it.
Fair enough.
Some of the higher buildings are partially exposed, and some of the ones that aren't fully exposed could still scrape a bottom of a ship. Of course, the other reason is aquatic monsters live there now. And there's plans for the River Transport Guild to do an expedition into the place, especially using elves. But it's still in negotiation. And I know some people who are new to this might say, why would you need elves for that? In Sword World, elves have better time underwater.
Yeah, they can hold their breath for over an hour, right?
Mm-hmm. Over an hour, and they're not impeded by water. I.e., being in water doesn't slow them down. Off the coast of Rabas, there is a massive lighthouse that stands at about 10 meters. Though no one knows who built it. It's just existed since the Magic Civilization period. There's also things like the Beach of Artists, the Great Citadel, and the Fortress of the Strange Sea King and Immoral City. And I do also appreciate on page 15 a very, very nice map of Rabaste itself. And you can see how it's built and how it feels a little close to home having a city that's divided by a massive river.
That's hilarious. I just want to pop in here to say that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
You're going way further into the history than I thought you were going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are on page 15, people. I have 15 minutes left, so we should probably step it up a little. I appreciate this map because it's keyed. There's not a clear scale here, but if you're not super into the scale, just the fact that it's keyed means that you can actually put content in these different parts. And you're right, it's a nice, pretty functional map that is very well presented. So
Sword World isn't going to be all that interested in that sort of scaling with pretty much any of its maps.
Which is weird because like they're really specific on a lot of stuff, like time. And it's hard to do time without scaling. It's an observation.
Not as much as you think, but that's...
No, it is. It way is. I design elf games. It's super hard to do time without scaling.
So do I.
Yes, but mine have a lot more detail in them for things like scaling. I've read your game. I helped design a little bit of it, and I've designed ones that have a lot more with things like, proper timekeeping. And because I take that really seriously, I know a lot of the history of it too, and I've also read a lot of stuff about it. So yes, if you don't have a scale or any kind of speeds or anything like that, time is odd. It's very subjective all of a sudden, and the fact they want you to do hour by hour, it's a very bizarre way of doing things. I'm not really sure what to make of it.
It is amusing to me that even with the division with the Corallo River, you still have two islands right in the middle of it, Vera and Arthur Island. And I'm pretty sure I could sum up a lot of Leos with the phrase "Leos is loaded."
Yes.
And when it comes to their organizations, you do have their parliament, which is the main way of government. They are elected from voting districts. And within that, you have the highest position is Prime Minister. Just below that is Deputy Prime Minister. And then there are the three axes of the wheel, which is the Ministers of Foreign Trade, Finance, and Domestic Trade. Called the three axes of the wheel because they're treated as the three wheels that move Leos. But there are other ministers that don't have as much weight as those ones, but still have some pull. Like the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Minister of Shipbuilding, the Minister of Welfare, of Foreign Affairs, of Defense, Um, though the defense is more of civilian military, because if there's one major weakness that Leos has, it's the fact that it is not a very strong nation militarily. A lot of its strength comes from its economic advantages. And although the Minister of Defense still has some pull. It's just you compare the military to the merchant side of things. we know who's got more pull. But you have plenty of guilds. Some of them involving commerce and of course fish. A few secret organizations and crime syndicates.
As you do.
Mm-hmm. Including the 13 Knights of the Robust, who are basically united over fuck IR.
Fair.
And since we are dealing with the major settlements in Sword World, we do have adventurers guilds and the Institute of Magic Technology. And I think I'd say one of the reasons that there's a large amount of unregistered individuals is the mindset of, in times of emergencies, during a disaster, all humanoids are given equal protection, regardless of nationality. So, because the main reason to have a nationality with Leos is to either do business in there or to vote. For a good amount of people, it's not getting a specific getting a sworn-in nationality is not the biggest priority. But you do still need a certificate if you're gonna be doing any sort of commercial business.
City's got to get its taxes somehow.
Mm-hmm. Also, I suppose an easy way to get money is do a shipbuilding business, because they're always going to need more ships.
Mm-hmm.
Not fast ships, but ships that can carry things.
Unless ships.
Yeah. Unless you're doing trade with Cinerequests, in which case speed is necessary, and it's assumed you're going to be doing more skilled crews. And because there's no shortage of needs for ships, there's going to be a decent variety of people coming in with who everybody needs ships. So if you're building them, somebody's going to be able to take them. Well, as long as you build them properly. If you're building them on the cheap with substandard stuff, you're going to get what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
And while the standing army isn't very great, each merchant family has their own private army that is the actual military power within Leos. A lot of them are known as private knights, or just knights. And there is one other problem. A couple of the swords of protection that are supposed to keep Barbarous out of Leos are missing. Although that's considered a top secret. But then of course there's the 100 NPCs that are in Tour Leos, and going over all of them would be a bit redundant. Some of them don't even get portrait art, but each goes into race, gender, age, and at least a paragraph or two.
Yeah, quite a bit of detail. And they're not like, this isn't an NPC generator. This is a bunch of unique individual NPCs that have relationships to each other. And you're expected to track their budding relationships to the player characters, which change over time as you interact with them. So this is the dungeon of this module, is all of these NPCs and the massive web of relationships they have. How you're supposed to track this, I have no idea. This is one of those it sounded good on paper kind of ideas that I think in play would just be an absolute mess. But I've never seen it before, so it might be really interesting. I never even thought to do something like this. Actually, really impressive.
If you're trying to do more urban campaigns, where you're gonna be in a city, connections are gonna be the key part of it. That's the reason why there's a whole network of connections system in something like Shadowrun, because that has the assumption you're playing in 6th World Seattle.
Yes, but in that game, they don't give you 100 interconnected NPCs that already have backstory, right? This, because remember, role-playing games are like cookbooks. You pick them up and you read through them on the fly, right? So if you have 100 NPCs, and these, I checked, they have relationships to one another, many of which you would not suspect. So you have to read through this as a GM and learn their interconnected web prior to beginning play with them, and then keep that in your mind castle while you play. There's really no clear system for how you do that aside from just raw dogging it.
You don't
Shadowrun and things like that.
to.
You do though. They're designed that way. They're designed to have relationships with each other and the players that are contextual. It's like actually kind of baffling that they did it this way. Usually, if you do this, you have like maybe 20 total NPCs, and you're expected to make a lot of them. It's like I said, this is the dungeon of this setting module. It's fascinating. It's a really fascinating piece of design, actually.
Now, beyond that, there are a couple adventures. Each of them have their own scenario specific rules. One of them has an adventure sheet just dedicated to its time and doing missions with NPCs.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about the time tracking. Like it's a worksheet for time tracking. It's incredible. Again, I've never seen anything like this. It's amazing.
Yep. They also one of them also introduces a minor god, Temerio, a god associated with the second sword, and one that's associated with poisons. His doctrine states medicine for the converted, poison for the unconverted.
That's some aggressive recruiting there.
Well, the first spell that you get out of it is Mind Collapse.
Very aggressive recruiting then.
I mean, yeah, it's a penalty to willpower that lasts 3 minutes, but remember, 3 minutes is 18 rounds.
A lot can happen in 18 rounds.
But with each of these scenarios, they're very much built where you could do each one of them potentially in one session, or stretch it out if you
concise.
need.
And a lot of them are very clean missions. Find and catch the person who stole the wallet. You know, that's another one here. I need to confirm the safety of an acquaintance. You know, really nice.
Yep. And of course, there's also a thing about how to use the NPCs to generate missions. The randomly determining the type of request, destination, objective, and time limit.
They even have grace periods built into them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, time is very much a resource in this, in a way that is kind of alarming for such a recently designed game. Generally, you see this stuff hand waved in more contemporary Western design. Not here, man. No, you've got to stay on schedule. You've got to you've got appointments to keep. It's fascinating design.
Yep. There's also a a dungeon record for the throne of Ruega Paquito, the Dead City.
Ooh, I didn't get that far yet. What page is that? I want to look at it.
That is on page 100. And something you'll note with a lot of scenarios, and definitely with the campaigns, is each of them have their own set of their own unique rules specifically for that scenario.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. That dungeon record sheet is glorious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they got the time lapse chart. Damn, this is rad, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a few grognards who would get a lot of use out of this, I think.
They're gonna
acquired gimmick. Oh, that's cool as hell.
Except they're not going to, because it's too anime.
I just wouldn't show them the anime part.
They're gonna find it eventually, and then they're gonna accuse you of tricking them. You know, kind of like the.
I don't think that's gonna happen, Mildred. I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
I don't know. Even to this day, I still get yelled at for daring to put video game ideas in my games.
I mean, you know, track record's a little cloudy on putting video game ideas in your games, and I understand their complaint from a historical purism viewpoint, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna get mad that I was like, hey, look, I found this in a kooky anime game, but I think we can use it. Like, modern OSR guys don't really get that up in the air about it, at least not the ones in whose circles I run.
Yeah.
Avoided you ending that sentence in a preposition.
But when it comes to the second tour, Luferia, this is also in the Feidan region, but is a different vibe.
Yeah, I didn't crack into Luferia yet, so tell us about Luferia.
Well, first off,
God, the art's beautiful.
First off, I want you to spend several seconds admiring the water palace in the royal city.
It's gorgeous. Look at this art, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
This
is actually beautiful art.
There's also a very nice area map of Luferia. Now where Luferia specifically would be on Feidan. Let me grab the map of Feidan that I have.
My goodness.
So,
pardon me. Yeah, we should probably power through this one a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to fade.
So
I want to make sure I can stay for as many of these as possible, though.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So Luferia, also known as the Tear of the Goddess, is all the way on the eastern end, not the eastern, the western end of Feidan. So at the far western cape, just north of Cain Gyra. And when it comes to Luferia, Luferia is not built around commerce the way Leos is. Instead, this was a prosperous place, especially with the advantages they get from the nearby lake. And then the Diabolic Triumph happened.
Everything was fine until the thing happened.
Yeah. But one of the old kings, Malkaphos IV, wanted to lay siege to the barbarous areas using the help of a demon.
What could possibly go wrong?
Several women were brought from around the country, were gathered and sacrificed to summon it, which was successful. Unfortunately, the demon got out of control and shaken out of his contract, and turned the city where he was summoned into ashes. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong? So now you have a giant demon running around the place with no contract to hold it in check. But one of the girls that was sacrificed was resurrected as a minor god under the guidance of Zaya, the god of knights. That particular girl was Luferia, and using a spear that was given to her by Zaya, sealed the demon deep in the lake. Then enveloping the country in an ice dome and protecting it from the onslaught of Barbarous, at least until things could rebuild. So this is a very religion-leaning kingdom. I mean, it's kind of hard to dispute that when you've seen an actual god work miracles, even if it's a minor god.
Mm-hmm.
And because of everything that happened, the royal family of Ismar got ran out. And exiled when the rest of the nation rose up against them, because, well, you summoned a demon that almost destroyed the whole country, you idiots. What did you think was going to happen? The throne was taken by
I stay 4 more years.
By a man named Saphir the First, who would become the first of his name of a new dynasty for the kingdom of Ismar. And essentially, as a result of this upheaval, the kingdom of Ismar ended, and the kingdom of Luferia was born in its place. And it didn't take long for them to take over the border towns that were closer to barbarous territories. But most actual political power is in the hands of the Temple of Luferia. The royal family doesn't have a whole lot of actual political power. I could compare it to the modern King and Queen of England, but that's not exactly the case. But also, yes, but also, royal families get complicated. But there was a bit of awkwardness when scholars from Kaingara ended up heading northward, thinking they were going to be exploring the ruined kingdom of Ismar, and then find out that no, it wasn't ruined, it's just replaced.
It's under new management.
And of course, despite that, the wilderness of the kingdoms does have the problem of wandering barbarous and mythical beasts. The latter is the bigger threat. because mythical beasts is things like chimeras, manticores, dragons. You know, the ones where you probably need several well-prepared parties to deal with.
Yeah.
Or need to bring up the big guns, but Luferia is a mountainous country. It's in the region that it's in is described as cold, but given the landscape, I'd say it's more temperate. Like on the first few pages, there's a map of the area, and you have obviously that massive lake in the middle, and surrounded by mountain and valley, which is why I get a vibe of a temperate climate, not far removed from the British Isles, especially Scotland. But within the cities aren't nearly as developed as the ones we saw in Leos. The sea routes compensate for this a bit, but keep in mind this is a region that for a very long time was completely isolated. It's also it is mostly human, but the ratio is 6 humans to 3 elves to 1 other. With runefolk and
also the
grassrunners
ideal
rarely seen.
polycule ratio with elves.
But human and elf relationships are certainly not uncommon, though some are hesitant on the matter. Mostly because they don't want to be seen as old while their partner still looks very young.
Or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. The king is Canis El of the El dynasty. While the person who actually holds the real pull is Batelden Era, the elven archbishop of the Luferian temple. Though, with how old he is, even by elf standards, most of the political affairs he leaves to his sons, because he's 321 years old.
Damn, he's a fossil even for elves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he'll probably live for quite a while longer, but it's a case of live, but be in the same position to deal with all the stress of running a whole church. But but even with that, the ice dome that surrounds the area, that can still be reactivated, and they do have swords of protection. The soldiers that are aligned to the church are referred to as paladins. As mentioned a while back, paladin is a title in Sword World. There is not a paladin class because there wouldn't really be a point to having it. It is the paladin class is basically a fighter priest, taking a level in fighter and taking a level of priest. Well, paladin. But maybe it's because of the fact that there's the big ass body of water within the capital of Luferia in Canaris. But I keep thinking of Venice.
Yeah.
Won't be the last time that comes up. And there is definitely a vibe of an isolated paradise when it comes to Luferia. They do have a few NPCs that you could build around. Obviously, not as many as we saw with Leos, but still quite a few. And also they put in a mount that you could take if you're a rider. Why ride a standard horse in a region themed around water when you can ride a Kelpie?
I mean, yeah, but it would have been funnier if it would have been like a seahorse or a very big northern pike.
They could have been dolphin riders. There were a lot of ways they could have went though with this.
Yeah, like a freshwater dolphin species.
Yeah, see, there you go. There you go.
Well, that's already accounted for.
Oh, never mind then.
But the only place you can get a Kelpie as a mount is in Luferia. It's not trained as a mount in any other kingdom.
Oh, that's cool. Kind of got a little claim to fame there. That's nifty. I like whenever settings do that.
Which would make sense because in some regions there'd be the question of where the hell would you get one? There's no water for miles. If you're in a settlement that has a riders guild in a deep forest with not very deep rivers, or that one forest that we talked about a few minutes ago that is full of tarps. But I could easily see an elf rider taking advantage of a Kelpie because Kelpies also can breathe underwater easily. They can operate outside of water, just not as well. And since you haven't seen I will note this just to catch you up, Joel. Rider is a better version of Cavalier, in the sense that they are the born in the saddle archetype.
Okay. Yeah, I was also noticing that Paladin is used to basically define like a town guard almost. So like a lot of the names are a little off from what I would expect.
Yeah, because of the way classes work in Sword World, making a Paladin class is redundant.
Yeah.
Things like Paladin or Wizard are more titles than they are classes.
Yeah. And that's how it works a little more in mythology, so I don't really have a complaint about it. It's just not what I'm used to, and that's fine. It's kind of the reason you read other RPGs aside from D&D, you know?
But if you look on the Kelpies, the reason the Kelpie has two stat blocks is one is if it's used as an NPC, and the other is if it's used as a mount. Because the amount of levels you have in Rider can alter the stats of their attacks, but only to a certain point. If you have 6 levels in Rider, you've already reached the cap, so it doesn't matter. At that point, you're probably going to be searching for a better mount. Of course, there's also the issue of not coming cheap, because having that exclusivity thing means they can also drive up the price, because trying to full-on purchase a Kelpie, not rent, costs 10,000 Gamel.
I mean, like, do they have like payment plans, or
you can rent a mount for significantly less. You just have to bring it back in one piece, and if the mount gets killed while you're out adventuring, you can end up with a black mark on your license with the Riding Guild. Too many of those, and you can't get anything from them unless you work it off. Can you pay up to get rid of those black marks? To a point. You do it too much, they might just completely blacklist you. i.e., fuck you, you're not getting any mounts.
Yep, you're just gonna be walking.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the sample characters in these scenarios, I do like the inclusion of the gameplay and growth guideline for them. If you want to use them as NPCs or as potential pregens for an adventure, and having the character sheet at there certainly helps. But you can kind of see a few example setups, and each of these I think is adventure level 2. Yeah, pretty much all of them are level 2, and you've got a decent variety. We have a fairy tamer who has 2 in fairy tamer and 1 in ranger and sage, as well as a couple of work skills. And we did cover. You may recall we covered work skills last week.
Yes.
A elven fist fighter who has 2 in grappler
I
and
like
1
her.
in scout.
I like her a
enhancer.
lot. I think she's a great character. I fully support her.
Mm-hmm. A human priest who took 2 in priest and 1 in conjurer, which is interesting.
Could have a little more fist.
A dwarf warrior who took 2 in fighter, 1 in enhancer, and 1 in rider. And a magic warrior who took 2 in fighter and 1 in sorcerer.
And these are like full-on character sheets too.
Yeah.
The last one only seemed to have like little snippets of characters, but this actually gives you like little chunky sheets.
And a Tabit artificer who has 2 in artificer, 1 in marksman, and 1 in scout.
I love him.
Oh,
a little pudge. Oh boy.
That little orb next to him, that is his magisphere. Or her magisphere, I should say. One of the big disadvantages with Tabits, even though they're very good casters, they can't be priests. Like, full stop. Not a experience penalty for taking priest. You can't do it. If you ask the Tabits, they claim that they once were gods that were put into the forms of Tabits. But
okay.
The veracity of that claim is debatable. They're not the best fighters, but they do very well in magic. They have more of a leaning to it, and that includes Magitech. And because of I mentioned this before, because of the racial ability with nightmares, them taking fighter and some casting class is a pretty common thing, especially sorcerer. Sorcerer or conjurer are pretty common with them because of the way magic implements work with them specifically. So they can assume nightmare form and still wield a 2-handed weapon without needing one of their hands holding an implement.
Well, you gotta hate hand holding. Anyway,
yeah.
I was looking forward a little bit, and on page 36, it actually does give you movement speeds, and these maps are segmented into squares.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they realized that if they were going to track time, they had to track distance too.
Yeah.
Another victory for my design genius. Continue.
Oh, like I said, each Tour Luferia has more has significantly more scenarios, and
yeah, they're very tightly put together. They're almost like a choose your own adventure, it looks like.
Which considering certain game books that got very popular, that makes complete sense. And of course, especially since there are some of the early PC RPGs did kind of have a choose your own adventure vibe, or maybe not RPGs, but some early PC adventure games. Zork immediately comes to mind, which is the OG when it comes to this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also the godfather of MUDs.
Buds.
The dungeon in Multi-User Dungeon is based on DUNGEN, which was an unlicensed port of Zork.
Nice.
I ended up discovering these kind of things because you guys remember when extra credits was relevant?
Oh God, barely. My
days.
memory's going.
I miss those days. I had to do that one stupid fucking video. As I started
there was a video before that got them on my shit list, which was when they claimed that what I call console RPGs were descended from visual novels, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, what the fuck? What the hell are they on about?
It makes no sense, especially since say Square was putting out visual novels and RPGs at the same time with different teams.
Right, that's like saying that Mario is based on card games just because Nintendo made cards at one point.
Yeah, they made Hanafuda cards, which have been around for centuries.
Nintendo's actually a lot older than I realized too. I looked into that. At some point in the past, and I was like, "Wait, they're how old?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, they weren't making video games the whole time, obviously.
Yeah.
Wasn't Nintendo they primarily made the equivalent of poker cards and dice for gambling dens?
Wow, these are fucking rad too.
Yeah. But while we don't have in the scenarios we do have, we don't have the usual approach to mapping out a dungeon, but we do have dungeons. They're just, instead of segmented into 5-foot squares, they're segmented into areas. Sort of like the layout that you see with some dungeons in Ogre Gate.
Okay.
Ogre Gate mentioned neuron activated.
Like, look at the waterfall cave on page 100. You'll see what I mean.
Let me scoot ahead. Ogre Gate has some of the best maps in the business, and I'm stunned that more people, like almost everybody, sleeps on them.
I've run a few campaigns with it. It is where Neff managed to get away with a pimp named Slickback joke.
Yeah, you're right. This is a very Ogre Gate map right here.
Mm-hmm.
I need to show this to Brendan. I bet he'd love this.
There is a simplified map a little further on, which is meant more for PCs rather than for the GM. But both of them have unique monster entries, as well as a few simpler approaches. And
the design is extremely robust in this. I want to point out, like, these are very usable. You could port this to a lot of different systems because of how it's concrete, facing its own reality, right? So you could do this with D&D. You could do this in like White Wolf stuff. This is really good stuff, and the maps are just adorable.
Now, when it comes to the natural history of Feidan, instead of covering like one country or one city-state, the move was to cover one whole region. And the first one they did was Feidan because, well, we've already done the Feidan region a few times as it is, So may as well expand on that. But the two of the major nations we've already covered, the Tier of the Goddess Luferia and the Land of Assemblance Leos. The other one, which we've hinted at, is IR, also known as the Nation of Growing Walls.
Ooh, that's a cool name for a nation.
If you look at the map of Feidan on page 6, I think, you have a miniature map of IR, and why it's called that, because it's a labyrinth of walls. You have dozens of domains, each between the walls. Like calling it the Nation of Growing Walls suddenly makes sense when you look at that.
I wonder how much of this was set up before the incident, or if this is like a response to it.
I'm thinking it's the latter. I'm thinking they walled up the castle, and then built walls surrounding the castle, and then just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was daft to build a wall around a castle, but I built one all the same. It fell down, so I built another one. It fell down too, so I built a third one. It burned down, sank to the swamp, then fell over, but the fourth one... Yeah, so... Plenty of walls.
Mm-hmm. There's, of course, also the College of Stone Walls in Kaingara, which we've talked about a few times. That is basically their biggest export is scholars. It is a university town, essentially. And the town in Feidan if you're looking for anything related to magic. Imagine a country that is full of wizards' towers, and you're not far off. But also the Shrouded Island, Adel, which is southward. And the other thing that was introduced with this and the region is the schools. This was something I hinted at a couple weeks ago, but schools are a alternate path of feat-like abilities that expand on existing adventurer feats, and you can only get them by spending reputation. The reason these aren't in the core book is that each one is unique to that particular region.
Oof, so lots of reason to grab the region books then. That's neat. That's a good monetization strategy. It's very White Wolf.
So we have the Margahari Heaven and Earth Bayonet art, which is not about using bayonets technically. It's about using a gun in one hand and a sword in the other. The Ago Hammer style strike, which is basically an armor killing use of warhammers, and even a graze from it can be fatal. But also the Ellie style Phantom Jester art, a fighting technique taking advantage of the small stature of grass runners. And dressing as jesters. So if you want to lean into being a harlequin, that's one way to do it. But also the Lushironi magic arts, because not all of these schools are physical combat. This particular approach is for those who really want to double down into a more skilled use of the different types of magic. They're known for utilizing spiral rods as implements. And the Narakosa sword dance, which it is a sword dancer. It's doing exactly what you'd expect a sword dancer to do. But one of the other regions, and this will get its own book later on that we'll be covering, but there is the region of Dilfram, the Land of Purple Darkness, to the east. It is a barbarous-controlled region, and there have been several attempts to reclaim it for humanoids. They haven't exactly been successful. It doesn't exactly hurt that the ruler of it is a Nosferatu. The Nosferatus, unlike, say, in Vampire, are not a clan. They are the highest and oldest class of vampire.
And if I know anything about Japanese media, they have a lot of respect for vampires. They think they are super scary and powerful. Which, I mean, they're correct. But, I don't know, they have a sort of reverence for them that I don't see in Western media a lot anymore.
The Nosferatu are basically the oldest vampire. And they're not even statted, because the attitude is, if you're picking a fight with a Nosferatu, don't. Unless you are in the teens when it comes to your adventurer level, don't. They do go into, obviously it goes into some of the unique monsters, some of the unique items you can get, including different kinds of foods and potions. Like a gambling potion. Which is called that because it restores physical strength, but how much it restores varies. And they have different tastes and effects each time they're taken. So it is a literal it is taking your healing potion and turning it into Gamba.
I mean, like, are they at least cheap?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing.
But, you know, one of the delicacies is drunken goat cheese. No, don't worry, the goat isn't drunk. They take milk cheese and then wash it down with wine.
Mm-hmm.
Another specialty is Lyrian Stout, which, you know, it's always nice to have a local beer. But the thing with the schools is, aside from the fact that you do have to be introduced into a school, each school will have special equipment that is tied to the secrets that they have. Secrets can be best described as branches from adventurer feats. And a lot of them will have their own limitations. I know they bring up revised combat rules and Ignis Blaze. We'll get to that later. But for example, a lot of the secrets for the Ago Hammer Strike style are built off of the Power Strike feat. For Tremendous Crash Bone Crunching, you need Power Strike. For its improved version, you need Power Strike 2. And, of course, when you're using it, you need a two-handed melee weapon. So it doesn't have to be a hammer, but it's going to be useful for it. And even Monostrike with one of them, if you wanted to lean into that. But you can kind of see a theme with it. This is meant to be an armor killer style of combat. And instead of getting them through leveling up, you get them through spending reputation. but there's also the rock axe fighting art, which you specifically need an axe. And what that particular school can do is mess with their ability to dodge you, as well as break weapon critical immunity. Some monsters are immune to critical hits.
Oh, those bastards.
The rock axe fighting art can negate that with its abilities. And it goes down two paths. One that expands power strike, and one that expands lethal strike. It also reduces your critical threshold with some of them. But remember, no matter what, critical threshold can't go below 7. Now that's 7 on a D12 on a 2d6 roll. But you have a few others like Reshival Group Spearmanship, which I'm gonna have some fondness for because of Polearm Brain Rot. Adorian style martial arts, which is a martial arts style that was invented by Lil Drakens, and specifically you need to have a tail by either being a Lil Draken or getting it from an enhancer technique. And you're going to need to have Grappler anyways, because one of the techniques, Flying Pile Driver, requires you to have Throw. But it's very clear it's meant for Lil Drakens. I already talked about the Phantom Jester art, which is all about misdirection. And the Dazzling Veil dance technique is exactly what you think it is. But it doesn't require a weapon for a lot of its techniques. It requires the Cape of El Elena. And things like the Girvan School of Fool's Blade, which requires a specific dagger, Gilvan's Gladius, in order to use its techniques. And it is meant to build around aimed attack. Where if just the first one kind of sets the tone. You get when using aimed attack, you get +1 to accuracy, and if you take any physical damage before your next turn, they take +2 damage.
Go ahead, hit me. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a lot of fun.
And just expands that further. The Narakosa Sword Dance specifically requires its own unique sword known as the Moonrazor. It is a flexible crescent-shaped blade. And because of the flexibility, if somebody isn't properly trained, it's kind of hard to use without heroing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But it likes to sacrifice accuracy for evasion even more with aimed attack. Just as an example. But it does have another branch that leans into Taunting Strike, which has it that you do more accuracy, do less damage, and also provoke. On the other hand, if you're dealing with monsters who have low intelligence, provoke isn't going to work. But you also have the Dozakat Hidden Archery technique. And I should note, not only are you paying reputation to get these secrets, you're also paying for the initiation. Most schools require 50 reputation to pass initiation. And the Dozakot Hidden Archery School has their own type of bow called asymmetric bows. And a lot of their techniques are built around it, and just built around bows in general. And I already mentioned the Magahari approach of sword and gun.
Yeah, a classic, an absolute classic.
Yep. It is built around multi-action, and I think somebody who's this is a technique that I think would be hard to get into, but also very rewarding if you do. Because for one, you're going to be using a melee weapon and a gun, so having levels in fighter and artificer and possibly marksman are going to be important. You're also going to need the dual wielding combat feat, and also the multi-action feat. Multi-action is about doing a melee attack and then immediately following up with one of your spells in the same action. You do take penalties to your defense for a round when you do it, but that's the price you pay for doing that so quickly. A lot of these
it sounds like a good trade-off.
Yeah. A lot of these secrets with the Heaven and Earth Bayonet art are about giving you additional attacks. Like the first one we have, Heavenly Invitation, Earthly Slaughter. You do +2 to accuracy checks. And do 2 melee weapon attacks, but you have to use 2 shots with the gun attack. You're using
that's a pretty solid trade-off.
You're using your gun twice. There are some guns in Sword World that are single shot. Those ones are, I mean, in theory, there's nothing saying you can't use it for this. It's just not a good idea. Especially since you need to have a melee weapon and a gun to use the techniques. If you've gone further in this and you take the Twin Strikes feat, you can do those separate attacks on different targets. Normally you can only do the multi-attacks on the same target. So I feel like this kind of thing, this is something you build your entire character around using this kind of fighting style.
Yeah, this is very much the, oh hey, I want to be a Tenno for Warframe. So this is the school I'm gonna try to get my character into.
Yeah. You have the Rylock Magic Blade art, which is one of the ways you can do the Magic Swordsman archetype even further. It does have its own special short swords, Rylock Edge and Rylock Sword that are tied to it. But for example, the first one we see is Magic Light Wall, where you can add your magic power to your defense. Basically your magic power becomes Soak. You lose your major action doing this. You get a -1 to evasion, fortitude, and willpower. Which is why it's an offshoot of Mana Strike. The way Mana Strike usually works is that at the cost of taking a defense penalty for a round, you can add your magic power to an attack, to just a regular weapon attack. And in addition to that, if you have greater Mana Strike with this, you can add your intelligence mod to evasion. So it's a very good one for Gishes, I can say that. Especially if you want to mix the two. But there's also the Lucerone Magic Arts, which, as I mentioned, use a helix-shaped rod. there's the spiral rod, and then there's the advanced version, the spiral white rod. In order to use their secrets, you
I'm
need
not. I'm not commenting. I could comment, but I want you to know that I'm restraining myself and not commenting. Please continue.
Yep. But like the first thing you get out of that is Lucerone Magic Supremacy. It increases MC consumption by 2 to 5, but for each multiple you do, you get a bonus of spellcasting checks of 1 to 4. Even with that, double ones are still a botch. Double sixes are still a crit. You can use this alongside any metamagic feat. Though keep in mind, if you take a bunch of metamagic feats, applying all of them at once isn't always the best idea, because for each one you apply, you increase the multiplier for the MP cost. First one doubles it, second one triples it, and so on. Whereas magic intensity from the school can have it where for every extra point of MP you expend, the amount of ranges, the amount of targets in range can increase by 1. The radius doesn't change, and there's no upper limit. And with magic concentration, you can turn an AoE effect into a single target effect and get +2 magic power when you do it. So a lot of times when combat schools are introduced in fantasy games, there's a tendency to not do similar things for mages or not have casting schools in the same way. We don't have that here because this is not the only casting school that Sword World has. And I will note I do enjoy the additional equipment that's in this. Fire gloves are always going to be nice, and how could I say no to a blade of ice and snow, ice shuriken, one that can be equipped as an accessory. So not only can it be used as a weapon, but also the fact that if it is not returned to its original container within 1 day, it will not dissolve. Or if it's returned within 1 day, it will not dissolve. Otherwise, it dissolves. So I could see assassins using that. When it talks about rank effect and non-rank effect, that is a specific thing. The rank effect is something that you only get if you have the proper combat feat or the proper school secret. If you don't have it, you have the rank effect. Not rank effect, non-rank effect. English. I can words. And this is usually the rank in that requirement is having proficiency. So it's a way to have for example, that blade of ice and snow. In order to get that, you need A rank proficiency in thrown weapons. Keep in mind, you don't get proficiencies through proficiencies above B rank through leveling. You only get those through feats. So it kind of puts a dividing line between people who are good with that kind of thing and people who aren't. And
Yes,
I
indeed.
should correct myself. Everybody gets the non-rank effect. If you have the proficiency, you get the rank effect as well. Oh. But since I brought up Lyrian Stout, I may as well go into that. It is a black beer. And tends to have a very strong flavor, and is a common drink among the dwarves of Lirio.
That makes sense.
Oh,
there's a lot of details like that in these books. Not all of it has a lot of utility. Like, oh, it's a dark beer. Okay, dwarves drink it. Oh, good. I probably could have inferred that, guys. You know, I didn't like unless it does something particular. Shouldn't I assume that dwarves drink dark beer? Like, what? Why are we naming this? What's so important about it? You could just say the ale here is named this. And this is the local place that makes it, or whatever. There's a lot of that. Like, I was reading through the other book, and it's got like this section on these bureaucracies, and it's like these are bureaucrats. They collect taxes, and they have some corruption. All right, and they're trying to expand and collect more taxes. Oh, keep going, and that's it. That's the whole paragraph, and it's like, oh, I probably could have figured that out, setting book. You didn't really need to write that part down. As a matter of fact, you should have completely not written any of that down because it's implied by the term bureaucracy. You should have instead written something interesting down. Like, what are they like? Do they have like a unique culture, maybe? Or like a ranking system or names? Anything that isn't the definition of bureaucracy. There's a lot of that. It doesn't. These games feel very. This is our first time even thinking about this to me. Like, when it comes to tracking your relationship with NPCs, players are supposed to do that. Like, on your character sheet, I guess you just flip it around and you write the name of the NPC, and every time you roll that d6 after interacting with them positively, you just write the number down. The GM has access to the charts that they have that unlock different types of behavior at different levels. So, right, like, if the GM was tracking it individually, which would be a lot easier since they've already got the PCs in front of them, it would be a lot easier for them to access. There's a lot of that in these books where it just feels like this is our first time trying this.
I do think it's important to remember that with a lot of the material with Sword World, it is built on the assumption that this is someone's first experience with
That's
role-playing.
not what I'm saying though, because like this feels like the designer's first experience even attempting any of these things, right?
Well,
Like
it
modern
probably
role-playing
was.
games, almost certainly. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying I really feel that energy baking off of these design decisions.
On the other hand, being a first time means you don't have as much don't have it instilled as much about what you're supposed to do.
And the wild amount of divergence between these two products, considering they're almost like they're basically the same thing, but they're approached in two radically different and interesting ways. I think that's the upswing of that sort of naive way of just kind of blundering into it, right? I think you get real vibrant creativity whenever you do it that way. It's imperfect, but I think I prefer this to a lot of the sort of styad, is that the word I'm looking for? The kind of stale way that a lot of modern design looks for games, where it gives you the same thing over and over, regardless of whether, like, it's like received wisdom without a lot of creativity or thought put into it. It feels like everything in this had creativity and thought put into it, even if it was a little naive. It's very fresh, and it really kind of makes it fascinating to read. Like, you can't skip this or sight read it. You really do have to actually look into it and consider the ramifications of what it's telling you to do. It's really interesting, and there's a lot of design I'm not commenting on that does that, and it really makes me want to recommend this just because of just how novel it is.
Yep. Now, there is a lot more detail on the different areas of Feidan, including a a bit of a history that does divide between the divine civilization, the magic civilization, Magitech, the start and end of the Diabolic Triumph, and some of the events since. The only spot that's going to be a bit vague is the divine civilization, because that was 10,000 years before current year. And the Diabolic Triumph was about 300 years ago in setting. But when it comes to say IR, what's interesting about that is each of those little domains that you saw in that labyrinth of that kingdom, they're all run by their own lord. And there's quite a few domains. And of course, all of them are in those walls. And there's with each of these sections within natural history, there's a short list of NPCs you could build around,
which is lovely.
Mm-hmm. The island of Idel is obviously a large island in the south that overlooks Kaingara. It's a big island, but only the eastern side can be reached. The western side has been unexplored. And as far as why it's been largely unexplored, it's also known as the Island of Mythical Beasts.
I feel like maybe yeah, I'm with you guys. Maybe we shouldn't go to the island of getting eaten by weird monsters nobody's ever seen before.
Like, I mean, I don't know about you two, but like that sounds like a great first date idea.
My tasty shirt is not meant for this purpose.
Like, I mean, why have a shirt that says tasty if you're not gonna go to the island where the monsters are going to look at you and go, oh, I'll try that one first.
Mm-hmm. The fact that I only date autists means this is not the first time I've had to field this question.
Yeah. We're
all very serious game reviewers here, people. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. The peak levels of professionality.
Mm-hmm. Not just dragons or that, but also things like cockatrice, wyverns, unicorns, vargs, thunder snowbirds, griffins, amethyst tapirs, ringing reindeers, monoceros, hellhounds, charm bears, pegasus, thunderbirds, and kuyatas. Oh yeah, and trasks. And trasks are not even the highest level mythical beast in the bestiary. They're only level 12.
I mean, like, you're talking about the land of the kaiju, so they've got more impressive stuff over there.
The highest level mythical beast is an elder dragon, which is level 25.
Again, though, you're talking about Japanese dragon here, which is enormously more ancient and wise and tricksy than our domestic versions. Plus, if you gather its 7 balls together, you can have a wish granted, is my understanding of their storied mythology.
Not dignifying that.
We're very serious game reviewers, people.
But
look, all right, if IGN won't hire us, we'll just make our own agent.
See, exactly. It's going to have hookers and blackjack. But continue, Mildred.
Yeah. But oh yeah, I forgot about the grinning cat. Which
okay, please tell me about the grinning cat. I love him already.
The grinning cat is level 9. It is described as grinning cat is a mythical beast, a large cat with purple fur, who always wears a grinning smile showing its teeth. It possesses the ability to make itself invisible or appear at will, and loves using this power to tease others. However, its purpose is to merely enjoy watching others become confused and flustered, and it rarely attacks with clear malicious intent.
Is that what it likes? I wonder if there's any literary character that might be referencing. I wonder.
I
Let me put
never
on
heard
my
anything like this
thinking cap.
before. Very original.
My very big braid thinking cap about this literary reference that may be transpiring here.
But chimeras are also level 9, and they have 4 different ways they could kill you. You get your head bitten off by the lion, get skewered by the goat, get your head bitten off by the dragon, or get poisoned by the snake.
So beautiful.
Oh. And I forgot about the Chimera Summoner. A chimera where the goat head knows demon summoning.
Good Lord in heaven.
Just to make things a bit worse.
It's like, oh hey, how could we possibly make a chimera worse? Let's have it summon demons like a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah.
Things like cockatrices are exactly what you think they are, including the whole petrifying. In fact, if they hit you with their beak attack, you are immediately petrified. And in addition to dealing
specifically how they work, but I'm gonna roll with it.
Let them cook.
Yeah, let them cook. Yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
The petrified effect reduces your agility by 12.
Oh, it's like a gradual petrification. That's cool. Does it stack?
Not gradual, instant.
No, I mean, but like, okay, so it's reducing your agility, but like, if you get hit more than once, does it reduce it again?
No, it would just overlap. The effect is permanent until it's removed.
Oh, all right. So that's a little less petrification and more like slowing down. You're stiff.
All right, interesting. Giving you arthritis.
Now it does take a bit. It does take a bit of time for it to complete, but it's a case of while it's in that early stage, you could use Cure Poison or Remove Curse. In this latter case, it'd have to be Remove Curse because it's a curse type effect. Once it's completed, you'd need a Cure Stone potion or a Cure Stone spell. And of course, if the stone's damaged, well, it's going to be harder to revive them. Can't exactly revive someone turned to stone if they have no head.
I mean, hey, you can turn them back from stone, but they may not be alive. You can check their pockets.
Yeah, he brings up a good point. Whoever said I wanted them to be alive, I removed their statue head, right? I'm just curious.
Yeah, like the guy could have ate the key to save the princess from the dragon's tower, but he got
how
turned
will we know
stone.
unless? And you can hardly get an undead servant out of a statue. You need a corpse. This is a necessity.
Yep.
I mean, at the same time, though, you could just turn the stone statue into a stone golem.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Okay, you know what? I have a new plan for the statue. We'll still need to duct tape the head back on, though.
Yep. I mean, do we need the head?
I don't need a blind golem. That rampage seems like it'd be somehow more destructive, paradoxically.
I mean, sometimes you just need to have a golem in a china shop.
Yeah. There is one unique area. There is one area I do want to bring up when it comes to Adel, and that's the Forest of Reincarnation. There is a unique gas within this forest that, when it envelops you, it will transform you into a different body. while keeping your consciousness intact.
Whoa.
Oh, which I know would be tempting to say, why doesn't everybody go there? Well, for one, the effect only lasts while you're in the forest, and two, the forest is teeming with boggarts, goblins, and also supposedly some of those goblins want to use it to turn themselves into drakes or trolls.
Oh, they want to upgrade.
But on the other hand, whether or not it actually does this is not outright clear, because some have said that those were just hallucinations.
That's very good, very good.
On the other hand, they're still barbarous in that forest, so just going in there unprepared is not a good idea. There is also a large mythical beast called the Mashu Reishi. I won't say large, but it's certainly a notable one. It's about 50 centimeters in size, has 2 pairs of wings and a small beak. It looks like a bird, but moves like it's floating. They're usually found in certain springs in this area. But Adel is one of those places where it might be good to have an expedition there if you're very well prepared.
It would certainly be interesting. It's one of those things where I feel like it's kind of more interesting that it's just there in the setting, just in case some shit goes down and you wind up there. Less like you're making a choice to go there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the fact that there was a skillet queen in that area called Ingard Leng, also known as Husband Eater.
Yes, I've seen her. I've seen some stuff about her skimming through the book.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about the Skilla is, well, you have the main head, and then you have the bodies on each of the ends of the tentacles, which some people may go, joke's on you, I'm into that, but remember, they eat people.
Yeah, but her name is she has the nickname of Husband Eater. This isn't this is not somebody that you'd be like, don't worry, guys, I'll hold her off. This is like, oh yeah, no, fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fixing her.
Yeah. The book also goes into Dilfram, but I want to save that for when we get to the book dedicated to Dilfram. And there's also the City of Ruins, also known as the Abyssal City of Zalbrith, which itself is mostly run by Barbarous. And of course, they do revisit the Land of Assemblance and the Tear of the Goddess. But also, Natural History has its own section on traps, and there's as well as how to do different trap effects, as well as diseases. A decision table for traps, how to do traps in dungeons. Some specific monsters for the region, which there's plenty of, including an amusing one simply called a Yum.
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 Mm-hmm. A Yum.
I think I might have to wrap it up, Mel. Yeah. I'm getting sleepy.
But before we do wrap up, just also get to the ninjas later.
The ninjas.
What do you think of the Dilfram region?
So far, I mean, I don't really have a super strong opinion. It feels like, Chaos Wastes kind of this setting's equivalent, Bad Guy Land.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's got cool stuff in it. Like, it's got cool stuff in it that, like, because I can't think of an immediate use for it, I'm kind of more intrigued by it. There's a lot of stuff like that in this setting where it's like, I don't know what I do with that, but and like immediately I can kind of see it combining in interesting ways during gameplay, which I think is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
It feels like nearly all of these books feel like they give you the tools of, okay, if you're playing if you're running or playing in a campaign in this area, these are the tools for the like the tools for this region's sandbox.
And I was able to force myself not to make fun of its name the whole time we were talking about it. So, um, another thing about it that I really like is that it doesn't seem to be an imminent threat. It's more of a high-level place you can go with like its own laws and what have you. So that's neat. A lot of times you'll make a place like this in a setting, and it's kind of like constantly invading, or like it's like a 10 minutes till midnight thing. I never really got the vibe from this. Like we could go there with the setting as it's written, but it's not inherently that. So it's flexible. You can do a lot with it.
If that kind of 10 minutes to midnight is ever done, it's usually done in scenarios or campaigns, not in
in a place where it's appropriate, right? And it's not baked into the setting itself. It's one of the things that always drove me crazy about like Exalted. It's like, oh, everything's about to explode. Like, I know we're powerful, but come on, guys, it's ridiculous.
And so also, and also, it's like they've already Dilfram has already had the invasion thing, and now they're they're at least trying to stabilize themselves while all the other kingdoms around it are trying to gain back the lands that they lost during the triumph.
Yeah, it seems unstable in a far more interesting way than they're the bad guys, they're gonna get you or blow up the whole world, right? There's these little factions and individually powerful, interesting characters. Like, it's really good design. And even though I have in this particular review kind of mocked them a little bit for sort of like going off half-cocked about things, they sort of nailed this. Even putting a lot of thought into how I would do something similar, it would come off like this. Like I'm doing a dungeon crawl, not a dungeon crawl, but a hex crawl thing for a supplement coming up, and it looks a lot like Dilfram. It's got a stability that kind of arises organically just from these factions sort of having and getting what they want more or less, and not quite being willing to risk getting more. But it's a fragile stability that players are kind of meant to interrupt, and that's sort of peak design in my estimation. I think they completely knocked it out the ballpark with that.
It kind of reminds me of the Nephilim from Fragged Empire.
Yeah. Now, that being said, speaking of campaigns, when we come back at this next week, we'll be tackling 2 campaign books. I kind of hinted at them earlier because they came out within a few months of each other, and they are touching on a similar sandbox in terms of how they work. Those are Fairy Garden and Mist Castle. Now, Mist Castle would later get a sequel called Mist Grave, but I'm not expecting that to be translated for quite a while. And
there is Mistgrave schools in the Dilfram PDF on page 39, so that's interesting.
I'm saving covering Dilfram for when we cover the book specifically dedicated to it.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I skipped ahead in the reading a little bit, and I've been kind of skimming this, and it looks really sexy, I gotta tell you.
Yeah. But it's also been a thorn in the side to some of its neighbors, but they're not trying to expand. There's the only real faction that could kind of fit in that whole we're trying to destroy the world thing are demons. And we're not going to see demons in a large capacity until we start getting into the 2.5 stuff, where they take there's a bigger footprint that they have thanks to the shallow abysses. But you know how when the Burning Crusade showed up in Warcraft, both Alliance and Horde were like We can kill each other later because those guys want to kill all of us.
We have a uniting antagonist now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is kind of the attitude when it comes to demons. Because remember, teamwork is essential. It gives everyone something to shoot at.
Yep.
But that'll be covered next week. Meantime,
Excited.
On Tuesday, we'll be starting the deep dive on Cloudbreaker Alliance. And, of course, there's the birthday stream on Wednesday. Along with the usual stuff for the Valley of the Judge on Thursday and Friday. I'm not going to be doing any new interviews until Saturday with the guys over at Sephiroth. Specifically the guys behind the Hidden Isle, because they're doing their first campaign module for that game. The Hidden Isle is an interesting beast that does a lot of elements of tarot in its setting and mechanics. So keep an eye out for that.
It does sound
but
interesting.
Until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. May your adventures be grand and your treasures myriad. Stay frosty.
Bye, everybody.